Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Giaquinto, and I'm the curator here at the Cape Cod Museum of Art. And this is a first, at least for myself, curating an exhibition along with Etta of her art, and the presentation is Jewelry as Art. And Etta and I have been working on this probably for the last 12 months, and it's come together beautifully. So I'd like to present Etta.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I want to say again, thanks to the museum. This has been a delightful experience and also a very cathartic, reflective one for me when I was working with the curator and he picked the pieces he wanted to be in the exhibit, and I get to make a process of trying to explain to people what I've done for the last 44 years. And the way I've set up the display is this case is the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. And there were a couple of things that I thought evolved in this process that to me were fascinating when I looked back at my own career to date. To start with, the sterling silver vest. I was on a commune. I made a sterling vest. The thing that I think is amusing now is that when I used to wear it when I went into town, I could never figure out why the merchants recognized me from, a couple of weeks ago. And the vest is one of the creations I did on the commune, as well as the silver belt that's in the middle case here. And the thing about the belt, it shows the first time I ever used my logo, which became my trademark. The figure that I sign everything with now, my federally registered trademark. And I can see in this belt, which I made also long cold winter in 1970 up in New Hampshire with the 14-foot of snow and the frozen pipes and the brown rice and the peanuts, I had a lot of time for bench work. I had the idea, I didn't have the skill, but I had the concept. And as somebody that's self-taught, I can see the transition in my work. Also at this time I worked with more sterling than that was what I could pay for. The necklace on the top is the first piece I ever made. The one with the purple is an amethyst. I took a class at night, and that's the only time I've worked in wax my whole life. I work in metal, torches, hammers, pliers. I solder things together. It's a method called fabrication, and it's different, and that's why my work looks different, and it's also why it's all one of a kind, because I just make one piece. The necklace over here of the woman's face is a piece I also did when I was on the commune, and I brought that down to Rhode Island. At that time it was the jewelry capital of the world, and I got a job as a freelance jewelry designer. And I did that in between wholesaling my work all up and down the East Coast and into New York State and down as far as New Jersey. And again, we're talking about the 70s, so my method of transportation was hitchhiking. And the little Mercedes I have over here was Janis Joplin's song. Mercedes was on the radio at that time, and I kept saying to myself, one day I'm going to own one instead of hitchhiking on the side of the road here trying to make some sales. And I did. I had a 190 SL for quite a few years until I finally sold it because I got too damn old to get in and out of it. I also, again, a silversmith works, the technical definition is you make silverware, flatware, napkin rings, cups, decanters. Those were the kind of items I made in the 70s. Even when I first opened on the Cape, I got orders for christening cups, spoons. As society changed, I evolved more into jewelry, which is what a goldsmith is, because that's what people wanted. And again, just for the heck of it, there's a pair of sterling eyeglasses in this case and a few of the christening cups. And the things that I made, the things that I sold, and again, some personal pieces. This is a folding cribbage board. I got stuck in Logan for 22 hours, the blizzard of '78, wishing I had a cribbage board on me. So I made one that folds up and is a necklace. So the next time I flew, I wouldn't be stuck for that long. And going to the next case is when the decade turned and the times changed as well. And here I started working still very strongly in sterling, a little bit. I have a dish here and some boxes and things. But the world changed and I started working in a little more gold. I have pieces here, including the sculpture. I had done a commission for somebody, and you can see the trees, the boats, the mountains I used to live in, the water, as a wall plaque. And the majority of the pieces in here, all of them, the necklaces are mine, and the bracelets. My customers and friends will remember when I used to wear those pieces. I took, as I have in my career, a weekend or a one-week class. That's all the chance I was able to be away from the retail. So I would go, I took a class on mixed metals and got really fascinating. The class that I took, you took a brick of metal, you put together copper and brass and sterling and gold, and beat it with a sledgehammer. Well, that's a little aggressive. You bake it and beat it. But I turned that into my skill with the sterling and the gold and the pink gold, and the pieces here reflect some of that as well as I went through that era of mixed metals. And then you can also see one more piece of sophistication. My figures are better on the piece, the necklace with the ivory. One figure sterling, one is gold. But if you compare that to what I did 10 years before, the skills at the bench are showing. The same as with the sculpture as well. This opal necklace, which was mine, was in so many ways a tipping point for me. I had worked in the Boulder opal, but I had not been possessed by the gem. And when I started working in the opal, that really became the second 20 years of my craft, which we'll talk about a little more. The cat boat here, I designed because of being in a community where the young people sail the beetle cats. I made so many sterling beetle cats, I got tired of it. So I designed one out of gemstones. And I have it as malachite, lapis, tiger's eye, and onyx. And I had that created, I have the copyright on that as well. And then that gem inlay I set in many pieces of jewelry through a long time in sterling and in gold, because I really didn't want to make another plain sterling or gold cat boat. Just like in this era, I didn't want to make, I wholesaled peace symbols and astrology symbols. And you can only do that for so long, and then you decide you really want to do something else. So that was how I handled the strong sailing community by designing that piece. Now we're going into the 90s, and you can see I'm starting to have some time in at the bench, and that my work starts to have a different level of mastery of the craft. And on the top shelf are fun pieces that I've done that are miniatures. I have a couple of motorcycles, the toolbox, some other metal boxes. Those were things that I had done for fun, and that work has not been displayed in the shop because it's not something that I did for commercial. It's something that I did on custom order. People would come in and say, I need a charm for my wife, she likes whatever. They'd hand me a picture of it and I'd make a miniature. But it's not something I displayed readily in the store. At that time also I got very involved, as many of the Cape Codders know, as a co-founder of Stop the Outfall Pipe, fighting the outfall portion of the Boston Harbor cleanup. And that was on the bottom, my mutant fish I made as my expression about what we were going through with that battle, which was a 9-year battle, which we made the best we could. We could not stop that project, but we made them do secondary before discharge, which was the letter of the law, and that would not have happened without the support of people all over Massachusetts and hard work from our elected officials and our county commissioners. Everybody stepped up to the plate on that to make that the best we could make it. The very large gold necklace is an opal, and the green is a green garnet and the orange is orange garnet, the piece on the second shelf. And what I'm doing there is complementary colors to the opals. The pin that's on the silver is a stalactitic amethyst, white sapphires, and pink and yellow gold. And that pin, it's mine, and I made it when I was an alternate elector for Bill Clinton and Al Gore in 1996, as I was required to wear all black, dress, stockings, shoes. I was very concerned that I would be a wallflower. So I made the huge pin, which so people would know it was me up there waiting for one of the electors to fall over so I could jump in. But I actually had to wait till 2000 when I was an elector for Al Gore and Lieberman. And as we know how that election did get stolen from us, but I had appropriate jewelry for that situation as well. The bracelet in the bottom is alone. It's something with the amethyst that I made for the heck of it a long time ago, just because I had a lot of amethyst and decided I was going to challenge myself with hinges and keep myself busy, just seeing what I could do with 60 carats of amethysts and a lot of time on my hands. And it's a magnificent bracelet on the texture and the way it functions, and particularly the triangular hinge that's the mirror to the triangular gem. It doesn't go the way a normal hinge goes. It goes this way as well. So it's just, that was a technical experiment just to see, you know, what I could do, because that's the joy of being self-taught and continuing to explore. As an artist, you want to keep pushing. You want to keep pushing your media. You want to keep pushing your raw materials. You look at what you've done and go, okay, I've done these over here. I wonder if I can. And that bracelet is an example of what I pushed a little further in terms of physics for the mechanics of the bracelet. And it was really a lot of fun to do that one. It was a big project. On the third shelf down, the pink with the yellow center is a wicked large tourmaline slice. And if you look after in the mirror in the back, my logo is there, but this time it's in green gold. And I have that on the back of the piece, the reverse. But this time you can see I spent 30-something years at a bench. It's not as primitive piece that I really had paid attention as time has gone on. And when we go over to the 2000s into the current work, the magnificent bracelet on the top is a loan from a customer. It was a custom order. The very large Australian Boulder Opal and Champagne diamonds. Many of these pieces are opals, another combination of gem, diamond with the dragonfly and amethyst. A loan with the customer. It was her little kid's ring with the aquamarine and the two big opals. And down on the bottom, it's also a loan back from a customer, opal and diamond. But in all of the other opals, the lightning ridge. And this is where the second big transition in my career came, from when I made this piece that looks like a seagull on West Ennis Beach. That's when, in 1991, we had the group Stop the Outfall pipe together. I opened up the Boston Globe, read an article about, in Sydney, Australia, there was a group that said, stop the ocean pollution. I said, I'm going. I got on a plane, and it took me a day to find that group. And for the last 20 years, I've gone 12 times to Australia. The transition in my work that really makes me different is the use of color. And a lot of that comes from the love I have of the opals. I find working with opals to be a great joy because it's like holding a rainbow in my hand. If you look at an opal in natural light, artificial light, if you look at it under incandescent light, the gem is never the same. And the thing that became apparent to me on this last trip, one of the reasons why I love the country so much, it looks like the country. the birds, the parrots that are in the wild. It looks like they're opal. They're red and they're blue and they're green and they're vibrant. The flowers are vibrant. Everything, it's that alive. And that's the joy I have of working with the material. And it's also, I'm in such a tiny industry as a goldsmith for the few of us that are left standing, and also as one that specializes in this very rare gem from Australia that 2 decades going and doing business with people really is a long time. I had not thought about it. And a lot of the miners and cutters that I dealt with 20 years ago, well, now they're getting a little older, and it's their sons that I'm dealing with that are coming to meet me. And I have had just a splendid long-term relationship with many families there that I let them know long before I'm coming. I'm looking for earrings. I'm looking like what I bought from you last year. I need a pendant stone to go with that. And I've developed a whole professional relationship, but with people that are different than Americans, because the first time you do business, you do business. The second time they bring their wife and the kids. The third time you stay at their house for a week. And it's a real important piece of my life, and it's something that I hope that as time goes on I will continue to do occasional trips. I've only gotten in 12 so far in the last 20 years, but I certainly look forward to returning. I got back February 8th, and I was there for 6 weeks. I had just a marvelous time, and I hope that the things that they've asked me to do there, I hope that I'll be able to do. They want me to come guest lecture at university, because I do things with opals their folks can't, because they don't know what to do with the gems. They have jewelers that are trained to be jewelers, but they put the work in manufactured settings with like little tiny diamonds around it. It doesn't show the gem off the way my work does. So they're very enthusiastic to get me back either this July or the following July, and to start working with the people there to promote their national gemstone in a better manner. And I very much would like to do that as well. So basically, that's the summation of 44 years, and I would be glad to take any questions on any of the pieces that you're looking at, or anything about the profession, or anything at all. 14